Starting the day with love is one of the simplest, yet most effective ways to achieve true peace and happiness. Sometimes life is full of pressure and worries that make us forget the profound values of love and forgiveness. Perhaps what we need to do is not only wake up every morning, but also tell ourselves that today we will live with love. We'll look at people around us with understanding eyes. We'll accept our own shortcomings and those of others. Starting the day with love also means that we choose to make every action, thought, and word become gentler and better. This is not just a choice, but a process of cultivation. Because love not only helps us feel light, but also brings positive energy that spreads to everyone around us. In every moment, love is the key that opens a new door in the soul, where we find true peace. In life, we often encounter many unpleasant situations, people who do not understand us or even hurt us. At that time, Buddhism teaches us to keep compassion, because love has great power. There is a Buddhist story about a young monk. Every time he met someone who made things difficult for him, he smiled, bowed his head, and said nothing. When asked why, he replied, "Everyone has their own pain. If we only see the bad things, it will only increase the burden for them and for ourselves." From then on, every time he was treated badly by others, he remembered the Buddha's teachings and chose to forgive. It is from stories like these that we realize that love not only helps us escape hatred, but also cleanses the dark spots in our souls. Living with love is living with an open, accepting, and tolerant heart. Life is not always easy, and sometimes love is the medicine that helps us overcome challenges. When we choose to live with love, we are building a foundation for happiness. Life will have countless reasons to give up, but if we can grasp the spirit of love and live with compassion, all sadness will disappear like dewdrops in the sunlight. End each day by looking back at what you have done and reflecting on how loving and tolerant you have been. This is not to judge yourself, but to remind yourself that serenity comes from living with love. In order to love others, we must first learn to love ourselves. Buddhism often reminds us of the value of self-care and self-understanding. The Buddha taught that every human being has infinite value, and when we know how to appreciate and treat ourselves well, this positive energy will spread to those around us. Take the time to listen to your feelings, respect your personal needs, and forgive past mistakes. Loving yourself is not selfish, but a way to live a meaningful life and be willing to extend love to everyone. A story about love. There is a short story about an old monk who always kept a gentle smile on his lips. One day when someone asked, "Master, why are you always happy and satisfied even though life is full of difficulties?" He simply replied, "I have chosen to live a gentle life. Every time I meet someone, I think that they also have their own problems to endure. I love and sympathize with their pain. When I open my heart to love, I will no longer be bothered by negative things." The story is simple, but profound, helping us understand that sometimes, just by changing our perspective, we will find serenity. In life, no one can avoid being hurt or sad when being treated badly. However, Buddhism teaches that holding on to these negative emotions is the cause of our suffering. When we know how to forgive and let go, that is when we are liberated. Forgiveness is not accepting wrongdoings, but a way for us to free ourselves from pain. When we feel angry with someone, we can think again that they may also be suffering from difficulties that we do not fully understand. Maybe they had a bad day, or have their own problems that cannot be resolved. Buddha taught that the greatest enemy of man is his own ego. We are easily hurt by our ego when we cannot accept the mistakes of others and refuse to let go. So, let's practice looking at everything with tolerance and free ourselves. Life is only truly peaceful when we know how to love and let go. In Buddhism, every little action can become a source of positive energy if we do it with love and compassion. Tell yourself that every day is an opportunity for us to live better, love more, and leave good things for life. The same thing that the video wants to convey is that love is the source of serenity. And only when we live in love can we truly see the value of life. Compassion in Buddhism is the foundation for a peaceful and harmonious life. The Buddha always advised us to extend our compassion to everyone, because when we love, we not only ease the pain of others, but also free ourselves from negative emotions. Compassion is not just a temporary emotion, but a virtue that needs to be nurtured through every small action in daily life. In a small village, there was a woman who was often insulted and ridiculed by her neighbors. Instead of retaliating, she always smiled and never got angry. When someone asked her how she could be so patient, she replied, "I understand that what they say only reflects their pain and insecurity. If I get angry, I will become like them, and I do not want to carry those negative emotions." This story teaches us that compassion is not only for others, but also for our own liberation. When we do not let negative emotions influence us, compassion becomes a source of strength that helps us maintain peace of mind. Patience is an important principle in Buddhism, helping us overcome difficulties and avoid negative consequences from anger. The Buddha taught that those who know how to be patient are the greatest winners because they have overcome themselves. Patience is not weakness, but wisdom to keep the mind at peace. When facing someone with a bad attitude, instead of reacting harshly, tell yourself, "I will not let other people's emotions control me." Every time we are patient, we are building a strong, calm, and understanding ego. This is a valuable lesson in Buddhism, because those who know how to be patient are not those who give up, but those who achieve peace of mind. Letting go is an art of living, a way to free yourself from invisible bonds. The Buddha taught that all suffering comes from clinging and not accepting reality. When we let go, we will feel peace and freedom in our souls. Letting go does not mean giving up on loved ones or responsibilities, but giving up negative thoughts, regrets, and resentments. There was a man who always held grudges against an old friend. Every time he mentioned that person, he always felt angry and resentful. One day, he went to a monk and asked how to be free from this feeling. The monk pointed to a rock and told him to hold it for a whole day. After being exhausted, he realized that he had been carrying an unnecessary burden, and that only by letting go could he be at ease. When we let go of pain and resentment, we are truly free. Life is a series of lessons that we constantly learn and grow. When we live with love, compassion, and patience, we will achieve peace of mind. Remember, life is not always perfect, but if we learn to love and let go, we will always find peace in every moment. Love is not only for others, but also for ourselves. Start the day by cultivating positive thoughts, good deeds, and gratitude. When we live with love, life becomes lighter and more peaceful. This is the most precious gift we can give to ourselves and to those around us. Gratitude is one of the simplest ways to achieve happiness and peace. Buddha taught that we need to learn to be grateful for life and what we have, because not everyone is lucky enough to experience simple, ordinary things like sunlight, birds singing, or the warmth of family. Gratitude helps us appreciate every moment and creates a positive, optimistic spirit. There was a very rich man who was not happy. Every day he worried about what he had and was afraid of losing his wealth. One day, he met a monk and shared his worries. The monk invited him to meditate and guided him to focus on the things he felt grateful for, from the smallest things like breathing to the presence of loved ones. After a while, the man felt his soul lighten and realized that happiness does not come from wealth, but from gratitude. From this story, we understand that when we are grateful for the simple things around us, we not only receive peace, but also see the value of life, not letting ourselves be dominated by material things and frivolous things. Life is not just a journey to the future, but each present moment that we experience. In Buddhism, there is a profound lesson that we only truly live when we know how to appreciate the present. Sometimes, we are so preoccupied with the past or worried about the future that we forget that happiness can only be felt in each present moment. When we live fully in the present, we will feel peaceful, not burdened by the burden of time. Imagine that every morning you take a few minutes to breathe deeply, close your eyes, and listen to the sounds around you. It could be the chirping of birds, the gentle wind blowing through the leaves, or the peaceful sounds of life. By focusing on such simple things, we feel our souls truly at peace and no longer worry about things that have not happened. This is a way for us to live in the present, avoiding unnecessary stress. Buddhism emphasizes that happiness is not a destination, but a state of mind. When we live in serenity and compassion, we create happiness from within and do not let happiness be affected by external factors. True happiness does not come from wealth, fame, or recognition from others, but from compassion, tolerance, and gratitude. It is a lasting happiness, not easily shaken. There was a poor farmer who, despite his difficult life, always kept a smile on his face and was grateful for every little thing. When others asked him why he could live so happily, he simply replied, "I know that everything I need to be happy is already inside me. I don't need much money because my soul is filled with serenity and gratitude." This story is proof that happiness does not come from distant things, but from appreciation and love. Every time we live true to our nature, we will find life becomes more beautiful and less worrying. Life is a journey full of lessons and challenges. When we live with compassion, patience, gratitude, and appreciation for the present, we will find that everything becomes simpler and easier. Happiness is not something far away, but something we can create in every moment if we know how to cherish life. Buddhism always reminds us that life is not about seeking perfection, but accepting ourselves and the world around us as they are. Every day is an opportunity for us to love more, be more tolerant, and leave good things for life. Don't wait until life becomes perfect, but start creating peace and happiness from your own soul. This is the most precious gift that each person can give to themselves and to others. In Buddhism, letting go is not only letting go of material things or people, but also letting go of ambitions, resentments, and things that make the soul restless. When we let go, we do not need to forget the pain, but accept it as a natural part of life. It is this acceptance that helps us reduce suffering and open our hearts to receive better things. Illustrative story of letting go. There was an old monk who lived in a temple on the mountain. Every day he welcomed visitors, listened to them, and shared with them. One day, a young man came and told him about his failures, resentments, and endless worries. The monk was silent for a while, then gave him a cup of water and said, "Hold it and hold it until you can't stand it anymore." The young man held the cup of water for a long time, but then began to feel heavy and tired. Finally, the monk told him to put down the cup of water and said, "You see, when you don't let go, your worries and resentments are like this cup of water. The more you hold on, the more tired you become. But just let go, and all that heaviness will disappear." This story shows us that letting go is not about giving up everything, but accepting and letting go of unnecessary things. Difficulties are inevitable in life. Buddhism teaches that instead of being afraid or running away, we should accept and face them. Difficulties are not meant to destroy us, but are opportunities for us to become stronger and more patient. The Buddha once taught that every challenge has a reason, and it is the overcoming of difficulties that will make our souls more resilient. There is a story about a student who persevered in learning meditation under the guidance of a Zen master. At first, the student always felt frustrated because he couldn't concentrate. Whenever he heard a sound or had a fleeting thought, he lost focus and gave up. One day, the Zen master gave him a leaf and told him to sit by the stream and wait until the leaf stopped floating in the water. The student sat there all day, watching the leaf, until he understood that stillness is not something external, but how we face things in our mind. When he no longer expected perfection, he found true peace within himself. Modern life sometimes makes us forget simple but profound values. Seemingly small things like a smile, a word of encouragement, or a peaceful moment with a loved one can actually bring happiness. The Buddha taught that peace of mind is the most precious gift we can give ourselves. When the mind is calm, all worries will pass, and we will find happiness in small things. Try to spend some time every day looking around, admiring the natural beauty, or simply sitting quietly in a peaceful space. Our minds will gradually become calm, no longer caught up in worries and stress. Happiness does not lie in something far away, but in the moments we live fully in the present. Buddha taught that life is like a river, constantly flowing and changing. To live happily, we need to understand and accept that change, not clinging to anything and not letting sadness control us. Every moment is a lesson, and we can always choose to live more positively and peacefully. Live with gratitude, patience, compassion, and a spirit of letting go. Only when we learn to love, forgive, and accept everything that happens can we achieve true serenity. Life does not require us to be perfect, but only that we always try to live true to our nature, live simply and compassionately. Many times we think that peace comes only when we achieve big goals or when everything in life is perfect. However, true peace lies in the simple daily actions. Every little thing, when done with sincerity and focus, can bring us a sense of serenity and happiness. Buddha once said that when we do everything with a compassionate and loving heart, we will always find ourselves happy and light. About small things that bring peace. Try starting each morning by watering the plants, taking care of the small things around you. Or take time to sit and drink tea and admire the scenery. These small things not only help us slow down in the hustle and bustle of life, but also help our minds become calm. When we enjoy each moment like this, our hearts will become more peaceful and serene. An old woman living a simple life in the countryside shared, "Every morning, I just water the plants, sweep the yard, and watch the sunlight shine through the leaves. I find happiness in simple things like that." Peace is not something too far away. It is always present in our simple actions. Buddhism always emphasizes that knowing enough is the way to help us avoid jealousy and greed, the two main sources of suffering. Knowing enough does not mean not having dreams or goals, but knowing how to appreciate what we have and not letting endless desires lead us. When we live with humility and do not try to gain too much, our souls will feel peaceful and at peace. There was a rich king who, although he owned everything, never felt satisfied. One day he met a monk and asked, "How can one be truly happy?" The monk replied, "Happiness does not come from what you have, but from how you perceive it. When you know enough and appreciate everything, you will not need anything more to feel at peace." This story reminds us that sometimes what makes us feel lacking is not because we don't have enough, but because we always want more. When we know enough, we will naturally find peace and happiness in our hearts. Forgiveness is not easy, especially when we have been hurt. However, forgiveness is the medicine that heals all wounds in the soul. The Buddha taught that when we forgive, we not only free others, but also free ourselves from negative emotions. Forgiveness is a way to show compassion and also a way to help us regain peace of mind. There was a man who was cheated by a close friend, causing him to lose all his money and career. He carried resentment for many years, unable to forgive. One day, after listening to the advice of a Zen master, he decided to try forgiving his friend. As soon as he decided to let go of his resentment, he felt as if a huge burden had been lifted. He realized that all this time, it was resentment that kept him from being happy. This story teaches us that forgiveness is not about forgiving others, but opening our hearts to free ourselves. Forgiveness is the power that helps us overcome suffering and find peace in life. Life is a series of lessons that we never stop learning. Buddha taught that everyone can find happiness and peace if they know how to live with compassion, patience, gratitude, forgiveness, and letting go. It is not the big things that bring happiness, but the small, simple things that contain the deepest value. Live each day with love and humility, appreciate what we have, and be willing to let go of what does not belong to us. When our souls are no longer bound by resentment, greed, and insatiable desires, we will find life truly light and peaceful. Peace is not something far away, but the result of living true to your true nature, living with gratitude and compassion. Modern life often makes us feel busy, anxious, and stressed. However, Buddhism teaches that when we slow down, not letting ourselves get caught up in the whirlwind of life, we will feel more deeply everything around us. Slow living does not mean being lazy or slow, but a way for us to enjoy every moment, cherish the simple things. Start the morning with a deep breath, feel your presence. Spend a few minutes meditating or simply listening to the birds chirping outside the window. During the day, we can stop for a few minutes to contemplate instead of rushing from one thing to another. Such small moments help us feel peace, taking our minds away from the busyness and stress. There is a story about a man who worked in a crowded and bustling city. Every day, he raced against time, working from early morning to late at night. One day, he decided to take a vacation, visit his hometown, and slow down. He started to wake up early, drink tea, walk around the village, and chat with the people. He realized that he had missed many beautiful moments because he had always lived in a hurry. Slowing down helped him realize the true meaning of life. This story reminds us that slowing down does not mean losing opportunities or retreating, but rather a way for us to realize the true value of each moment. Adversity is inevitable in life, and it is the way for us to practice patience and understanding. Buddha taught that every difficulty we encounter can be a valuable lesson if we know how to accept them with a peaceful mind. When facing challenges, stay calm, do not get angry or afraid, but consider it an opportunity to train yourself. There was a Zen master who lived on the mountain. One day, the mountain was hit by a big storm. Trees fell and many houses were swept away by flood. While everyone was running away in fear, the Zen master remained calm and meditated without panicking. After the storm, when everyone returned, they saw the Zen master still calm, as if nothing had happened. When asked about this, he replied, "My mind is peaceful, so no matter what happens outside, I am not affected." This story shows us that true peace lies within our own minds. When our minds are stable, nothing outside can shake them. Patience is one of the most important qualities for us to achieve serenity and success in life. The Buddha taught that a patient person is the strongest person because they do not let the difficulties before them discourage them. When we are patient, we will be able to face any challenge and not give up easily. Think about planting a tree. Every day, we water and care for it, but we cannot expect the tree to grow immediately. Likewise, all success and happiness in life take time to blossom. If we are patient, we will enjoy each stage of the process, no longer feeling rushed or worried about the results. There was a young monk who was determined to learn meditation, but always felt restless and impatient. He asked the old Zen master, "I have meditated for many years, but I do not see any progress. What should I do?" The Zen master replied, "Be patient and continue. Progress is not something you can see immediately. It will come naturally when you stop expecting it." This story teaches us that patience is a long lesson, but it will bring sweet results if we know how to wait. Life does not need to be too complicated to be meaningful. Sometimes, happiness and peace come from the simple things and small values of everyday life. When we learn to slow down, stay calm in the face of adversity, and be patient in our journey, we will find peace in every moment. Love yourself and the world around you, simply and sincerely. Every day, take time to listen to yourself, cherish every moment, and learn to be patient, because that is the path to achieving true peace. Peace is not a distant destination, but a state of mind that we can experience in every present moment. In Buddhist teachings, compassion is one of the most noble qualities, helping people to get closer to each other, overcoming all distances and differences. Compassion is not only loving others, but also the ability to understand and sympathize with everything in life. Buddha taught that when we extend compassion, we not only bring joy to others, but also feel peace in our souls. Try thinking about someone you have had a conflict with. Instead of holding on to negative feelings, try to see them as a normal person with their own difficulties and challenges. When we learn to empathize and see others through the lens of compassion, we will no longer see ourselves as the center, but see that everyone is worthy of love and understanding. There is a story about a monk who met a rude man on the street. The man insulted and criticized the monk mercilessly. The monk listened quietly, not saying a word in return. When the man left, a disciple asked, "Aren't you angry, master?" The monk smiled and said, "He gave me anger, but I didn't accept it. When I don't accept it, he will have to take it back." This story shows us that compassion and calmness help us to be free from negative emotions. There is no need to respond or argue. When we don't accept negative energies, they cannot hurt us. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of acceptance and forgiveness. When we accept what has happened, without judgment or resentment, we will feel light and peaceful. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or condoning mistakes, but letting go of negative emotions to free yourself. Buddha taught that every time we forgive, we are healing ourselves. There was a woman who was betrayed by her best friend, causing her to lose faith and suffer for a long time. One day, she decided to seek advice from a Zen master. The Zen master told her to write down everything she felt about her friend. After she finished writing, the Zen master told her to burn the paper and let the ashes flow down the stream. The woman did so, and as the ashes drifted down the stream, she realized that a sense of relief was gradually filling her heart. Forgiveness helped her no longer be hurt by painful memories. This story shows us that when we know how to let go, we can find peace for our souls. Buddhism reminds us that life will become more beautiful when we know how to accept it simply. Everyone has their own good points and their own shortcomings, and when we accept ourselves and others as they are, we will feel life is less complicated and stressful. Embracing life is not about accepting things passively, but about knowing how to look at reality with a calm and appreciative attitude. There was a poor man who always felt unhappy because he did not have what others had. One day, he decided to go to a Zen master to find a way to improve his life. The Zen master told him, "Your life will only change when you learn to appreciate what you have, instead of always looking at what you lack." The man returned home and began to spend time appreciating simple things like the sunlight, the cool breeze, and the chirping of birds. He realized that happiness does not lie in distant things, but in the simple moments of life. This story reminds us that when we accept life simply, we will no longer be caught up in endless desires, but will see the true beauty of life. Buddhist philosophies are not only spiritual lessons, but also practical guides to help us achieve peace of mind. When we live with compassion, acceptance, and forgiveness, we will find life becomes easier. Every moment is an opportunity for us to find joy and peace without having to search far. Open your heart to life, love and forgive everyone, including yourself. When we live simply, gratefully, and compassionately, we will find happiness within reach. Peace is not a destination, but a state of mind, and everyone can achieve it by loving, accepting, and living each moment to the fullest. Forgiveness is one of the important factors that help the soul be peaceful. When we forgive others, we are also helping ourselves to be free from anger and hatred. Buddhism teaches that when we forgive others, we not only free them, but also bring peace to ourselves. Forgiveness helps us not to be attached to past resentments and live a freer life. There is a story about an old carpenter who worked hard for many years, but one day, his co-worker falsely accused him and caused him to lose his job. Instead of resenting him, he decided to forgive and look for a new job with a cheerful spirit. Later, when he met the co-worker who had harmed him, he still treated him kindly and generously. The other was touched and apologized to him. He replied, "Life is too short. We should not let hatred take over." This story reminds us that tolerance not only helps others, but also helps us keep our minds peaceful and not be dominated by negativity. Inner peace is a state of mind that everyone wants to achieve. The Buddha taught that to cultivate peace, we need to spend time every day connecting with ourselves, learning about the emotions in our hearts, and not letting them control us. When we master our minds, not letting ourselves be caught up in worries and fears, we will feel more peaceful. One way to cultivate peace is to practice mindfulness, living in the present and focusing on each moment without being distracted. Every day, take a few minutes to breathe deeply, listen to your breathing, and let your mind relax. This is a way to help us practice peace in our minds, no matter how noisy it is outside. A monk once asked his student, "What do you find peaceful?" The student replied that it was when everything was perfect, without worries or sadness. The monk said, "Peace is not the absence of difficulties, but when you can maintain a peaceful mind in all circumstances." That answer helped the student understand that true peace does not depend on what happens around us, but on how we deal with it. This reminds us that true peace is the ability to maintain a peaceful state even in the face of difficulties. Patience is one of the noble virtues that Buddhism promotes. When we are patient, we are not only enduring, but also training ourselves to have inner strength. Patience helps us stay calm when facing things that do not go as planned, and at the same time helps the mind become strong and not easily disturbed by external influences. In daily life, there are many situations that test our patience, such as when we have to wait for a long time, face unpleasant people, or when things do not go as planned. Buddhism teaches that instead of reacting immediately, we should take a moment to reflect. When we know how to be patient, we not only do not let our emotions control us, but also transmit peaceful energy to others. There was a monk who met a man who always criticized him. Instead of arguing back, the monk remained silent and listened. When the man asked, "Why don't you respond?" the monk smiled and said, "When I don't react, your anger can't affect me." The man then understood that true strength lies in patience and calmness. This story teaches us that patience helps us control our minds and not let negative things affect us. When we stay calm, everything becomes easier. Gratitude is one of the simplest, yet most effective ways to cultivate happiness. Buddhism teaches that when we are grateful, we will see that everything around us is worth cherishing, whether small or big. Gratitude not only helps us recognize the positive things in life, but also helps us become humble and not take things for granted. Gratitude practice. Every day, take a few minutes to think about the things we are grateful for, whether it is just a cool glass of water, a fresh morning, or a good friend. Acknowledging and being grateful for these little things will help us appreciate life more and feel happy with what we have. There was a poor boy who had to work hard every day to earn a living. However, he was always grateful for every meal and every greeting from everyone. He never complained or compared himself to others, but was always grateful for the simple things he had. He grew up to be a happy person, knowing how to appreciate everything and being loved by everyone. Happiness does not come from big things, but from being grateful and appreciating what we have. Humility is a virtue that helps us always remember that we are not the center of the universe. Buddhism teaches that when we live humbly, we can easily learn from others and are not dominated by our ego. A humble person is someone who does not need to prove himself, but is still confident, not letting his ego grow and obscure his ability to perceive. Listen more than you speak. Always respect the opinions of others, even if you may disagree. Humility does not mean putting yourself down, but knowing how to put yourself in the shoes of others to learn and sympathize. There was a very famous scholar who was always proud of his knowledge. One day, he went to see a Zen master to learn more. The Zen master invited him to drink tea, continuously filling the cup until it overflowed. The scholar said, "The cup is full, no more can be added." The Zen master replied, "Like this cup of tea, your mind is too full of arrogance. If you do not reduce your ego, you cannot receive new knowledge." This story reminds us that living humbly helps us to always be open to learning and become better people every day. Buddhist philosophies are not only spiritual lessons, but also practical guides to help us live a happy and peaceful life. Living with patience, gratitude, and humility, we will find joy in every moment and feel peace in our souls. Learn to live with gratitude, live humbly and patiently, because that is the path to true peace. When we do not let greed, ego, and anger dominate, life will become more peaceful and happy. Every day is an opportunity for us to train ourselves, to learn to love and be tolerant. Peace is not a distant destination, but the way we live with a gentle soul and awareness in every moment. Buddhism teaches that suffering is an inseparable part of life. However, how we face and transform it will determine whether we find peace or not. The Buddha encourages us to understand that suffering is not something to be avoided, but an opportunity for growth. When we face challenges, we learn to look deeper into our minds, understand the cause of our pain, and gradually free ourselves from it. A story about transforming suffering. There is a story about a woman who lost a loved one, and she felt extremely sad. She went to the Buddha, hoping to find relief. The Buddha said, "Go to each house in the village and ask for a mustard seed from a family that has not experienced suffering." The woman went everywhere, but could not find such a house. She realized that suffering is a natural part of life, and from there she learned to accept and overcome her pain. This story helps us understand that when we look deeply into suffering, we will see that we are not alone. Everyone experiences loss and hurt, and that is when we need to practice patience and understanding. Living with gratitude is a way for us to accept everything in life in a more positive way. When we are grateful, we will see that life is not lacking, but full of things worth appreciating. Buddhism advises us to be grateful not only for joys, but also for difficulties, because they are valuable lessons that help us grow. Start each morning by thinking of 3 things we feel grateful for, even if they are small, such as a delicious meal or care from a loved one. When we spend time thinking about these things, we will realize that joy lies not in luxury, but in simple things. There was a man who lost his main source of income, and he began to feel sad and depressed. However, one day, a friend gave him a book on gratitude. He began to practice writing down 3 things every day for which he was grateful. After just a few weeks, he realized that even though he no longer had his old job, he still had family, friends, and small joys every day. His feelings of depression gradually disappeared, replaced by gratitude and happiness. This story shows us that gratitude can transform everything in life, helping us realize the precious things in the present. Buddhism encourages us to maintain a pure mind because it is the foundation for wisdom and peace. When our mind is calm, not disturbed by negative emotions, we will see everything more clearly. A pure mind is not the absence of thoughts, but thinking in awareness, not controlled by emotions. Practice to keep a pure mind every day. Spend at least a few minutes sitting quietly, focusing on your breathing and letting go of worries. This is the simplest way to calm your mind, keep it clear and peaceful. A story about peace of mind. Once, a king visited a famous Zen master to learn about how to attain peace of mind. The master said, "Go find a clear lake and sit and look into it." The king did so and found that when the water was still, he could see the bottom of the lake. The master said, "Your mind is like this lake. When it is not disturbed by chaotic emotions and thoughts, you will see everything clearly." This story shows that only when we keep our mind calm can we see clearly what needs to be done and feel peace. Life will always bring us unpredictable events, but what is important is how we face and accept them. When we know how to appreciate life with gratitude, be patient in the face of suffering, and keep our mind pure, we will find peace in all circumstances. These philosophies not only help us live happily, but also enrich the lives of those around us. Live with an open mind, accept everything in life with gratitude, and keep your mind pure. When we understand that everything has a meaning, whether it is joy or challenge, life becomes more beautiful and profound. Peace is not in external conditions, but in how we feel and face each moment of life.